Some places do not trap you with force. They welcome you. They offer warmth. They offer rest. And while you are busy believing you have finally found safety, they are already deciding how much of you they can take. Comfort is rarely kindness. Sometimes it is simply the moment before something moves you somewhere else. When awareness returned, it was a forest. A forest that felt wrong. Not unfamiliar by name, but unfamiliar by instinct. I had never seen this forest before. Not on a screen, not in any book I had read. The shapes were wrong. The silence behaved differently. Even the air felt undecided. More unsettling than that, I was still alive. Despite knowing with absolute clarity that I had fallen from a cliff behind the cabin. My head. It feels like something inside me shifted. Not cracked, shifted. Like a fault line finally gave up pretending it was stable. I opened my eyes expecting pain. Concrete, rain, blood. Instead, I was looking at a woman. She was close. Too close. Beautiful, yes, but not in a comforting way. Sharp, precise. Like a blade polished until it reflects your fear back at you. Then I saw her ears. Long, tapered. They moved, subtly, tilting toward the wind as if sound itself was a language she understood better than I ever could. My first thought wasn't wonder. It was denial. A prank. Cosplay. Some hallucination my brain cooked up while dying. So I did the only thing that still made sense. I pinched my arm, hard. The pain didn't bloom. It bit. Clean. Immediate. Real. I looked up. Not for answers, for rules, for something familiar. But the sky had two moons. Not poetic, not mystical, just wrong, hanging there like pale, unblinking eyes. The sun was distant, smaller than it should be, casting shadows that bent at angles my mind refused to accept. The ground beneath me was red, iron-rich, almost like Mars. But the air smelled alive. Sweet lilies tangled with decay, growth and rot occupying the same breath. I'm an architect. I don't believe in miracles. I believe in load-bearing structures, in cause and effect, in gravity behaving the same way it did yesterday. But then I saw it. A creature took off from a nearby branch. Its wingspan was small, pigeon-sized, but the skin, leathery, stretched thin over bone like something dragged out of prehistory. It screamed. Not like an animal, like metal being twisted apart. And it dove into a forest where the trees pulsed, visibly with translucent veins, as if sap carried something more than life. I tried to name it, label it, file it somewhere safe in my mind. I failed. This isn't a dream. This isn't death, and this isn't Earth. The system I trusted, logic, reason, physics, has collapsed. The world I knew didn't end loudly. It simply stopped applying. I am not lost. I am elsewhere. The elf didn't reach for me. She didn't offer a hand. She watched. Not like a woman assessing a stranger, but like a predator deciding whether something is worth killing now or later. She rose to her feet, fluid and silent. Her boots barely disturbed the red soil. Leather armor, worn but meticulously maintained. No ornament, no softness, only function. Her hand never strayed far from the blade at her hip. "Phaelwyn," she said at last. She said her name slowly, each syllable precise, carrying an age I couldn't place. Phaelwyn Elrahil. She didn't ask my name. Of course she didn't. Her eyes, silver, almost colorless, never stopped moving. They tracked the forest, the brush, the space behind me, as if whatever danger I imagined was already late. "We need to move," she said. Not a suggestion, not a request, a statement. Answers could come later, she told me, in a place called Oakhaven. Not her home, not a capital. A trading city, neutral ground. A place where beings like me, outworlders, were sometimes tolerated. She didn't explain what happened to the ones who weren't. As we walked, I tried to ground myself. I asked where we were. She gave me a name I couldn't pronounce. I asked what land this was. She gave me a word that meant nothing in any language I knew. I asked what year it was. She told me the date, not in any system I recognized. Measured in cycles, recorded under the Ascension era, the year of the Third Concord. She didn't explain what the Concord was. She didn't translate the names. She didn't need to. That was when it settled in. This wasn't another country. This wasn't another culture. I wasn't displaced. I was removed. Something inside me began to fracture. I didn't see beauty. I didn't notice the bioluminescent moss crawling up ancient roots. I didn't care about the spiral-shaped flowers folding in on themselves as we passed, as if the forest disliked being observed. I saw stress points, the way trees leaned, not randomly, but to counterbalance the uneven pull of two moons. The subtle sink of my boots where the soil was structurally weak. The places where the ground would give way if enough weight or panic was applied. I could feel the integrity of the land beneath me, as if the world had become a structure and my mind was drafting blueprints just to stay sane. It was too much, too fast, data without permission. I wasn't learning this world. I was reading it. Phaelwyn stopped suddenly. She raised a single finger. Everything froze. The forest fell silent. Not peaceful, strategic. Even the wind seemed to hesitate. That's when I understood. She wasn't guiding me. She was escorting a liability. And whatever lived in these woods knew exactly what I was. The danger didn't announce itself. There was no roar, no sudden charge, just a shift, subtle enough that my body noticed it before my mind did. The ground changed texture beneath my feet, softer, saturated. My white sneakers slid forward a few centimeters, not enough to fall, but enough to break rhythm. My heart reacted before fear did. A misstep here wouldn't just mean pain. It would mean sound. Phelan stopped instantly. She didn't look back. She didn't have to. One hand rose slowly, palm down. A silent instruction. Lower your weight, slow your breath. Her other hand rested on the hilt of her blade. That's when I heard it. Not footsteps. Breathing. Low. Wet. Too close to the ground to belong to anything upright. It came from the underbrush to our left, where the trees bent inward unnaturally, their translucent veins pulsing faster, as if the forest itself was trying to warn us. My mind searched for patterns. Predator. Ambush hunter. Territorial. I crouched without thinking, my black field jacket brushing against bark. The fabric held, but I felt how thin it truly was. Urban protection, psychological armor, nothing more. The creature emerged halfway. I never saw its full shape, only pieces that didn't belong together. A hunched mass of muscle, limbs jointed wrong. A head tilted sideways as it listened, tasting the air with something that wasn't a tongue. It froze. So did I. For a fraction of a second, we evaluated each other. Then it lunged. Phelan moved like this had already happened 1,000 times. Steel flashed. Her blade cut not to kill, but to redirect. She shouted something sharp in a language I didn't understand, her voice slicing through the forest's false calm. I stumbled backward. My heel caught in loose soil. I fell hard. The impact drove the air from my lungs, pain, real and familiar. And with it, something worse. Wind screaming past my ears. The weightless drop. The moment my brother's hands let go. My vision narrowed. The creature turned toward me. Time slowed, not dramatically, but mechanically. Crisis mode. No emotion, only structure. I saw the ground. The way the roots twisted. The hollowed soil beneath them. The angle of the creature's charge and where its weight would shift. I didn't think. I moved. I threw myself sideways. The creature missed me by inches and collapsed instead. The ground gave way exactly where it should have. Roots snapped. Earth swallowed part of its mass, trapping it long enough. Long enough for Phelan to end it with a single, precise strike. Silence returned. Not relief. Assessment. Phelan stood over the body, then looked at me, for the first time, with something new in her eyes. Not respect. Concern. You saw it, she said, not a question. I pushed myself upright. My hands were shaking, not from fear, but from realization. I didn't, I said. I calculated it. The forest seemed to lean closer, and somewhere deep inside me, something clicked into place. Not magic, not destiny, but a terrifying understanding. This world obeyed rules, different rules, and my mind was already learning how to break them. The forest didn't chase us. That was the lie I told myself when we finally stopped running. It didn't need to. It waited. My lungs burned, not from distance, but from panic. The kind that lingers, the kind that leaves your hands shaking long after the threat is withdrawn. I leaned against a fallen trunk. Its bark was warm, faintly pulsing. Not dead, not dormant, observing. Faelwyn stood a few steps away, upright, still. Her breathing had already slowed. Her hand never left the hilt of her blade. She didn't ask if I was hurt. She didn't offer reassurance, only evaluation. I looked down at myself. Black jacket, dust-stained. White shirt streaked with something dark, sap, maybe blood. I didn't stop long enough to decide. Jeans torn at the knee. White sneakers soaked through with mud that smelled metallic. Wrong. These clothes didn't belong here, and neither did I. Yet the forest had already tried to claim me. That creature, whatever it was, hadn't attacked blindly. It tested, circled, applied pressure, like a structure searching for a failure point. Not brute force, assessment. And the worst part, I had understood it. Not emotionally, structurally. When it moved, my mind hadn't screamed monster. It screamed load-bearing failure. That frightened me more than the creature ever could. Faelwyn finally spoke. You survived. Not praise, not relief. A fact. Most don't. I laughed, short, dry. It came out wrong. Lucky me. Her eyes narrowed, not in anger, in recalculation. You don't move like prey, she said, but you don't move like a warrior either. I met her gaze, for the first time, really met it. What do I move like then? A pause, longer than before. A builder. The word sounded foreign in her mouth, as if it didn't belong in this forest. Somewhere far away, something called out. Low, resonant, patient. Not a cry, a marker. Faelwyn turned toward the sound. We don't stay here. Her eyes never left the trees. Whatever followed us knows your scent now. I forced myself upright. My legs still trembled. Is it going to hunt me? She looked back at me, just once. No, it's going to learn you. Standing there, in clothes from a dead world, surrounded by a forest that thought in angles, pressure, and time, I understood something fundamental. I hadn't survived because I was strong. I survived because this world hadn't decided what I was yet. And that uncertainty was the most dangerous thing of all. We didn't speak after the fight. Not because there was nothing to say, but because saying anything too soon would have made it real. Faelwyn resumed walking first. No signal, no command, just movement. I followed. My body protested quietly, muscles tight, my knee still aching where I had hit the ground. Every step reminded me that survival wasn't clean. The forest shifted as we moved deeper, less hostile, but no less aware. I could feel it watching, not stalking, remembering. Faelwyn adjusted her pace. not slowing down for me, but no longer testing my ability to keep up. That difference mattered. She walked closer now, not beside me, but close enough that I noticed when her presence shifted. Once, when my footing slipped on damp soil, her hand moved, not to catch me, but to intercept anything that might have taken advantage of it. She didn't comment. Neither did I. Hours passed like that. The forest thinned, the ground hardened. The oppressive weight of the canopy lifted, replaced by open sky and a wind that smelled less like decay and more like stone. That's when I felt it. Not danger, structure. Old roads beneath the soil, buried foundations, infrastructure, leading somewhere that mattered. Failwind finally spoke. Almost there. Just 2 words. She didn't look at me when she said them, but she didn't sound indifferent either. We reached Oakhaven at dusk. From the edge of the forest, the city looked like a promise. White stone catching the dying light. Golden arches standing with the confidence of something built to last centuries. It wasn't magical at first glance. It was engineered, deliberate, exact. That should have comforted me. It didn't. The gates opened without ceremony. No armored guards, no banners, just people moving with practiced routine. They were human. Not human-like. Human. Same tired eyes, same posture of people who had learned how to live inside systems older than themselves. The difference was their clothing. Long coats, layered fabrics, heavy boots worn smooth by time. It reminded me of old photographs. Early industrial era, progress without mercy. They noticed me. Not because of my face, but because of my clothes. Black jacket, white shirt, blue jeans, white sneakers stained by forest mud. I looked like a mistake in their timeline. Their stares weren't hostile. They were evaluative, as if deciding whether I was a curiosity or a liability. Failwind walked half a step ahead of me. She didn't blend in. She didn't try to. Her presence drew attention differently. Quiet, restrained, tolerated. This wasn't her city. It was a place she was allowed to pass through. That's when we were received. Princess Alice, Duchess of Oakhaven. She wore no crown. She didn't need one. Her authority was built into the space around her. Her gaze settled on me. An outworlder. Not a question. Her eyes didn't look curious. They looked interested. You may rest here tonight. Food, shelter, a private room. Oakhaven does not abandon travelers. The words were kind. The delivery was not. And for the first time since the forest, I stepped into stone walls that felt more dangerous than teeth and claws. Oakhaven welcomed us, properly. Not with chains, not with suspicion, with warmth. The kind that settles around you before you realize you have stopped bracing yourself. We were led through halls of white stone, surfaces shaped to reflect light, not absorb it. The walls did not loom. They did not press inward. Everything followed human measure. The width of the doors, the rise of each step, the ceiling resting at a height that did not ask me to shrink. For the first time since I arrived in this world, my body felt accounted for. I did not feel oversized. I did not feel misplaced. That absence was quiet and unsettling. Princess Alice did not receive us on a throne. She sat at a long table already prepared, plates set, chairs pulled out, as if our arrival had been expected, not announced. She smiled when she saw us, not sharply, not with practiced courtesy. It was the expression of someone used to being listened to without asking for it. She spoke gently, asked if we were hurt, if the road had been difficult. Then she asked me my name. Nothing more. No title, no explanation, just my name. That alone mattered. Phaelwyn remained standing, near the wall, close to the exits. Her hood stayed up, her posture unchanged. Alice noticed, and chose not to acknowledge it. Her attention returned to me. Food arrived soon after. Not extravagant, not ceremonial, but abundant. Roasted meat, fresh bread, a stew thick with herbs I did not recognize, yet trusted without knowing why. Only after I began eating did I realize how hungry I had been. My hands stopped shaking. That frightened me more than the forest ever had. Alice spoke of Oakhaven while we ate. Its trade routes, its place as neutral ground. She did not mention politics. She did not mention war. Only responsibility. She spoke of leadership the way an engineer speaks of load, something you carry so others are not forced to. I did not trust her, but I did not feel threatened. And after everything I had lost, that was enough to let my guard lower. Just slightly. Dangerously. Phaelwyn watched the room. Alice watched me. She asked about my world. Not its machines, not its systems. Only whether there were people waiting for me there. I told her no. She nodded. She did not ask again. For a moment, it felt like speaking to someone who understood loss without demanding that it be explained. A human presence. In a world where even the trees still felt unfamiliar. When the meal ended, Alice arranged rooms without delay. Not as an afterthought, not as a courtesy, but as something already decided. Private, quiet. On the same corridor. The words settled gently in the air. Phaelwyn's gaze shifted toward me for only a moment when this was mentioned. Brief, measured, enough to be noticed. Alice noticed it as well. She did not comment. "You are safe here." She said it simply, without emphasis, without insistence, as if safety were not a promise, but a state that already existed. I wanted to believe her, more than I was willing to admit. As I was led away, the stone walls closing around me, not tightly, but with a careful kind of certainty, one thought followed close behind. Quiet, persistent. Maybe this world would not break me immediately. Maybe I had finally stepped into a place that was not yet deciding how to use me. The calm felt real. That was what made it dangerous. The corridors of Oakhaven grew quieter the deeper we walked. Not abandoned, maintained. Stone arches curved overhead, etched with old sigils worn smooth by time. Warm amber lights floated along the walls, soft, deliberate. Alice walked slightly ahead of me. Phaelwyn followed behind. She didn't look at me. Not once. The distance between us wasn't accidental. It was measured. Each time I slowed, Alice slowed with me. When I hesitated, she turned back. She smiled gently. "You've walked far today," she said. "Too far for someone who arrived in this world by accident." I did not correct her. At a fork in the corridor, Phaelwyn stopped. "This is where I leave you." Her eyes met mine, only briefly. Not cold, not warm. "You'll be safe here." Then she turned away. Her footsteps retreated, softening with distance, until the corridor held only silence. Alice waited until the sound was gone. "She worries," she said quietly, "especially after today." She gestured ahead. "Come, your room is close." The stone beneath our steps changed here. Lighter, smoother. Old walls, restored with care rather than erased. She stopped before a tall white door. "This will be yours." She opened it. Warmth spilled outward. The room was not grand, but it was alive. A fire already burning. A wide bed beneath linen curtains. Shelves filled with real books. A desk placed carefully by the window. This was not a place meant to be passed through. It was a place designed to make someone stay. "I asked them to keep it simple," Alice said. "No symbols, no ceremony." She handed me a cup of water, using both hands. "You're safe here. Oakhaven does not harm its guests." "I'd like you to rest," she continued. "Sleep, read, write." She paused. "Try not to wander before midday. The inner districts can be confusing." It was not a command. It was guidance. She turned to leave, then stopped. "You don't have to understand everything tonight, Liam," she said. "This world does not demand answers immediately." Her voice lowered. "I know what it's like to wake somewhere unfamiliar and realize your old life is no longer within reach. I'll check on you later. Rest." The door closed softly behind her. I sat on the edge of the bed. The fire murmured. The city breathed beyond the window. For the first time since I arrived, my shoulders lowered. Not trust, but relief. If anyone could help me begin again in this world, it might be her. I lay back, letting the warmth draw me downward. Whatever this room had been prepared for now, it felt like sanctuary. Sleep came without permission. Not deep, not kind. Just enough for my body to stop resisting. I don't know how long I was gone. Long enough for the room to feel familiar. The bed no longer felt foreign. The walls no longer watched. Long enough to forget where I was. That was when the sensation reached me. Not a sound, a vibration. Low, steady, like something moving behind the walls. A hum, measured, intentional. Not alive, but active. Then I heard it. A click. Soft, deliberate. The lock on my door slid into place. From the outside. I did not rush the door. I already knew what I would find. White stone, seamless, reinforced. No hinges, no grain, no weakness. This room was not meant to hold people. It was meant to contain outcomes. The light dimmed, not extinguished, just lowered. A courtesy. The floor beneath me began to hum, rhythmic, measured, like pressure building inside a sealed chamber. Lines surfaced beneath the stone, thin, dark, veins spreading outward, pulsing, slow, like something waking up. I stepped back. That was when I felt it. Not a pull on my body, a pull on my breath. Each inhale felt counted, measured, allocated, as if the room was learning how much of me it could take. The door opened. Princess Alice stepped inside, alone. She looked relieved. "I apologize," she said. "This is the part people struggle with." I laughed once. "You spoke to me like I was hope. For a moment, I almost trusted you. But all you ever needed was my body." "You misunderstand," Alice replied. "Your body is only the doorway. What we need is what arrived inside it." The veins brightened. The room began to lower, not falling, descending. White stone sliding past as the city opened beneath me. I saw the conduits, massive, ancient, pulsing with dark energy. It was not water, not steam. It screamed, not loudly, constantly. Lives compressed into flow, souls processed into output. My knees struck the floor. The pressure intensified. Not childhood, not warmth. The cabin, the cliff. My brother's hand on my shoulder. The shove. The moment weight disappeared. Understanding. Too late. Different world. Same architecture. "You should be honored," Alice said. "Few outworlders are compatible." The realization settled slowly. I looked at her. "You built this city to consume people." She did not argue. She shook her head once, slowly, almost apologetically. "To survive." The veins flared. Pain did not tear. It did not burn. It erased. I screamed, not from pain, from recognition. This was not death. This was repurposing. If I survive this, I will learn how this world builds its monsters, and I will become worse. The light vanished. The machine continued to feed. They thought they had sealed me in. Stone walls, reinforced geometry, pressure calculated to break the mind long before the body followed. This chamber was not designed to kill, not quickly. It was designed to convince. Convince me that resistance was inefficient. Convince me that surrender was rational. I lay there, barely conscious. The city reached inward, not from my flesh, from my weight, my history, my otherness. Each pulse of the core pressed against something inside me, trying to reduce me to material. And that was when I understood. This was not random. The pain had rhythm. The pressure followed vectors. Energy moved along paths that had been drawn, measured, and optimized. This was not cruelty. It was engineering. So I stopped fighting. Not because I accepted it, because I needed to see it. My breathing slowed. The panic did not vanish. It receded. Not into calm, but into focus. The part of me that once sketched structures in quiet moments began to wake. Cold. Precise. I saw it. Not with my eyes, with something deeper. The lines beneath the stone sharpened. Load-bearing elements revealed themselves, not as matter, but as intent. Stress points glimmered faintly, places where the city had been forced to adapt beyond what it was meant to be. They had patched this system too many times, replaced components, rerouted flow, integrity compromised for continuity. The core was not stable. It was desperate. They believed these walls were my tomb, but to me, they were blueprints. I could see the fracture points, not dozens, not hundreds, one. A single convergence, where every load, every channel, every lie Alice had built into this city leaned just slightly too hard. One brick, one decision, one mistake. I smiled, slowly, inevitably. "You want me to fix your city," I whispered. "You want me to become part of it." The city pulsed again, stronger, and something inside me answered. Not magic, memory. The knowledge of how structures fail when they are forced to carry more than they were ever designed to hold. "I'm going to show you," I said softly, "what happens when the foundation decides to fight back." The pressure cracked, not violently, precisely. A hairline fracture spread through the chamber, silent, almost beautiful. The city screamed, and for the first time since it was built, Oakhaven felt fear. The floor gave way. Not slowly, not dramatically. It was simply no longer there. My body dropped. Stone, dust, darkness. I struck something hard. Pain spread across my ribs, my shoulder, my head. The impact stole the air from my lungs. The world spun. I tasted blood. For a moment, direction lost its meaning. Up, down, there was no difference. Sound reached me in fragments. Shouting. Not close, not far. Everywhere at once. Stone tearing itself apart. Metal strained beyond its limits. something vast collapsing behind me. I did not understand what I had done. I did not understand where I was, only that the ground itself was no longer reliable. One certainty remained. I had to move. I forced myself upright. Pain resisted. My legs trembled, nearly failed, but fear was louder. Light flickered around me. The air thickened with dust and heat. Signals echoed through the structure. Voices called out names I did not recognize. This was not a room, not merely a chamber. Something central was breaking, and I was inside its collapse. There was no plan, no direction, only distance, away. I ran, not toward safety, not toward answers, just away. Stone gave way to soil. White towers thinned into smoke and memory. My legs burned. My lungs protested. Still, I did not stop. I did not know where I was going. I only understood one thing. If I stayed, I would disappear. A warm room, a gentle voice. A city that smiled while sharpening its teeth. A weak sound escaped me. Not joy, a laugh, almost hysterical. This world did not want heroes. It wanted parts. My vision blurred. The ground tilted beneath me. And then, my body decided before my mind could object. I fell. I do not know how far I made it. I do not know what I broke. But as the darkness closed in, one certainty remained. Oakhaven would not forget me. And someday, I would return, knowing why.